February 2026, Milano Cortina, minus 15 degrees Celsius. Imagine this. You have just crossed the finish line of a grueling 50-kilometer cross-country ski race. Your heart rate is sky high, your legs are flooded with acid, and your breath is coming out in huge white clouds. But inside your chest, something else is happening. There's a metallic taste flooding your mouth. It's not your metal, it's your own blood. You double over, coughing into the snow, and you see it. A small spray of pink. It looks like your lungs are bleeding. This is not a horror movie. This is the reality of elite winter sports, a phenomenon often called ski lung. In the last 2 hours, your lungs have processed over 8,000 liters of glacial air. To understand the scale of that effort, it is like breathing inside an industrial walk-in freezer for the entire duration of a feature-length film. Why do the lungs of elite athletes seem to bleed in the cold? And what happens when you push your breathing system to its absolute limit in air that is bone-dry and unrelenting? Let us break down the biology. Your lungs are not literally bursting open like a wound. Instead, the inner skin of your breathing tubes, called the bronchial mucosa, is getting hammered. Think of this lining as a thin, moist, velvet carpet. Its job is to warm incoming air to 37 degrees Celsius and humidify it to 100% before it reaches your deep lungs. But when you are racing at 180 heartbeats per minute, you flip into mouth breathing and bypass your nose, your built-in humidifier. Now your main pipes have to do all the work. 3 catastrophic things happen at once. First, extreme dehydration. Every breath rips moisture off that velvet lining. In 2 hours, you can lose half a liter of water just from breathing, not sweating. Second, the microscopic layer of moisture on your cells, like morning dew on grass, evaporates so fast that the surface becomes too salty. It is like ocean water drying on your skin and leaving stinging crystals behind. This triggers mast cells, the tiny security guards of your immune system, to scream, "Tighten up," to your muscles. This leads to exercise-induced bronchoconstriction. Imagine a garden hose. Now imagine someone tightening a heavy-duty zip tie around that hose while you are trying to water the lawn. Your breathing tubes narrow by 50%, leaving you trying to breathe through a coffee stirrer. Historically, this was seen as a badge of toughness. During the first Winter Olympics in 1924, athletes ignored the burning in their chests. Today, we know the cost is much higher. 50% of Olympic cross-country skiers develop exercise-induced asthma, compared to just 8% of the general population. To see how extreme this is, let us run a thought experiment. What if Eliud Kipchoge, the greatest marathoner in history, tried to run a 50-kilometer race in these conditions without preparation? Kipchoge is a masterpiece of evolution, but he was built for the Rift Valley in Kenya. His body is a heat dissipation machine with more sweat glands and less body fat. At minus 15 degrees, those advantages become fatal liabilities. Within 5 minutes, the thermal shock would trigger a massive bronchospasm. By minute 15, his VO2 max, the gold standard of his engine's power, would plummet as lactate accumulates in his blood. By minute 25, his core temperature would drop so low that his mental confusion would set in. Because his lungs have never processed sub-zero air, they lack the callus of protection. The massive blood flow rushing to warm his airways, combined with the dry air ripping moisture away, would create tiny stress fractures in the tissue. His lungs would start hemorrhaging, literally. Without medical intervention, his survival time would be estimated at only 45 to 60 minutes. How do Nordic skiers survive this? Their bodies have literally mutated through forced evolution. Over a decade of training, their mucosa becomes 40% thicker, and they develop 3 times more mucus-producing cells to shield the airway. They also have 15% more subcutaneous fat than heat-adapted runners to act as insulation. Their pain threshold for lung burn is 200% higher than a normal human's. But this remodeling comes with a bill that must be paid. Post-career studies show that 60% of these athletes have chronic asthma 10 years after retiring.
One Norwegian champion admitted he now needs an inhaler just to climb a flight of stairs in the winter. The sport itself becomes a permanent scar on their respiratory system. If you are a winter jogger or an outdoor athlete, you can avoid this price tag with two simple strategies. First, a proper warm-up is not optional. Think of it as preheating an old diesel engine on a January morning. If you slam the gas while the engine is cold, you cause damage. A gradual ramp-up allows your blood vessels to adjust and your airways to open with less shock. Second, use gear like HME masks. Heat and moisture exchange masks. These act like a mini radiator and humidifier taped over your mouth and nose. They trap the warmth and steam from your exhaled breath and feed it back to you, preventing that frozen sandpaper effect. Even a simple neck gaiter can add a thin layer of protection. For those diagnosed with airway issues, specialists may prescribe inhaled corticosteroids, which act like anti-inflammatory fire extinguishers, or rescue inhalers that act like keys to unlock tightened muscles. Next time you watch the athletes at Milano Cortina, don't just see the beautiful scenery. Picture the invisible environment every breath is dragging into those lungs. See the moisture ripping off surfaces, the microscopic alarms screaming, and the tiny leaks of red when the race is done. It is a high-stakes trade, meters gained for tissue taxed, and speed paid for in microscopic scars. How much biological price are these athletes willing to pay for one more second of Olympic history? And when you train in the cold, how much are you willing to pay for your own story? Protect your lungs, respect the cold, and never forget that peak performance always sends a bill.